is the University of Michigan.
Touchdown, Michigan!
And midcourt, extra pass.
And it goes for the win! The three-pointer by Jordan Poole! Down the sideline! Peoples-Jones! Touchdown, Wolverine!
All right, welcome back to Blue by 90. I am Justin, joined by Kaylin and Jack as always, and it's game week. Oh, wait, no, it's not game week, and all of a sudden, this season is officially over. So, quick thoughts, yes or no answer. Are you happy or sad that the season is officially done for Michigan football?
Is it yes or no, or is it happy or sad?
Happy
Yes.
or sad?
Happy. I'm very happy.
I mean, we talked about it last time. We were kind of over football anyway, right? And so, like, just avoiding another crushing loss to a good Iowa team is probably good that we do get to avoid that. But still, which, like, also though, how many times in the past of your lifetime, even when Michigan was the worst, were you like, dang, I'm so glad that this season is over?
3-9.
Not often for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean 3-9. That was really
Rich Rod year, yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I was at least with Brady Hoke, he had Denard. I mean, even Rich Rod, he had Denard. Like, there was exciting quarterbacks and shit to watch. Like, obviously, I still would have liked to see Dan Villari and just, like, whatever, see what he can do with no expectations. But I think having Michigan football just be done and me not having to worry about watching them on Saturday, it just makes my weekend better.
Yeah, I feel like in the past there's always been like something to root for, like a reason, right? And we're at the point with this team where I'm like, there's almost no reason to even watch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. It was like the only thing for me is that I'm off the Harbaugh train at this point, and the less Michigan plays, the easier it is for them to extend Jim Harbaugh, because the less embarrassing this season is. You know, if they have to play these last 3 games, and, you know, even if they beat Maryland and go 1-2, that's a 3-6 season, 3-5 season, or 3-6, yeah, because it would have been the 9th game. So it's like, and then with the possibility of Ohio State getting, you know, putting 100 on him, to me, it seems like it was going to save his job a little bit, because it would have been so weird if Michigan goes out this weekend, gets beat 42-10 or something, and then next week they're going to come on and be like, yep, we're extending Jim Harbaugh for the next 3 years. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? But
yeah,
now they can be like, oh, weird season. You never know what would happen in those 3 games. Blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, it's a lot easier for that conversation to happen with his extension.
Yeah, totally agree. And hopefully, I mean, this is Tuesday night before signing day. We still haven't heard anything. Do you think we're going to hear anything before signing day happens tomorrow?
Fuck no, dude. No chance.
God, that's frustrating.
So, like, I tweeted it out. I was like, oh, yeah, season's officially over. That means shortly we should be hearing from them, right? Because that's what they said. But it's like, you know, they're just going to keep dragging this on as long as they can for no reason. You know, especially.
I do think that there will be a decision by this weekend.
Do you think there's like a plan to this at all? Because it seems like this is like idiotic.
Yeah, it's fucking, it is fucking idiotic.
That's what,
one of the best academic schools in the country, and their fucking athletic department is ridiculous in regards to football. Everything else seems to be okay, but with handling
except for the marketing team, the game presentation team is trash.
Oh, that girl's the worst.
The girl that does.
At least she's seen Lord of the Rings, which I respect.
That's true.
For anybody listening, Justin has not seen Lord of the Rings ever. None of it. He laughs at the references that I bring up, and he's never seen the fucking movie, guys. Any of them. None of the movies. So we'll have to fix that sometime soon.
I don't have a response. I don't have. You shall not pass.
Makes me so fucking mad.
That's all I know. That's all I know.
Oh,
All right.
my
Well, maybe you know what? We got nothing going this Saturday, so
fucking do
yeah,
it.
whatever. Let's watch
There
it.
it is.
I was gonna say I should probably clarify that I actually do think Michigan's game presentation is good for people who don't know that reference. They're gonna be like, "Why is he shitting on the game presentation?" For no
I'm gonna
reason.
read an article about it tomorrow. Michigan game presentation subpar.
Is that the reason for their poor play in 2020?
Yeah. According to Blue by 90 reporter Justin Rowe.
Yeah. It's just whatever. Like, I'm feeling like it's just like I'm so indifferent about that. Like in any other instance, Michigan gets a game canceled, I'd be like, fuck, what do I do? Like, what am I gonna do with my life this Saturday? At this point, I'm just like, whatever. I'm over it.
Makes no difference at this point. I'd rather have them not play than watch them lose.
Well, at this point, this is like the third game in a row that they've canceled. So
Yeah.
it is kind of like business as usual. Whatever you've been doing.
Over.
Whatever you've been doing the last couple Saturdays, just keep doing that.
Yeah, I'm the only bad thing about this is that Michigan basketball still does not play till Christmas. So we don't have anything to watch, in terms of Michigan for 2 weeks now, and all we have to do is hear about Jim Harbaugh. So
That's why I hope they make a fucking decision just now. I don't want to have to keep like lingering and hearing rumors. Like, just fucking do it. Rip the Band-Aid off. If you're gonna extend him, do it. If you're gonna fire him, fire him. Just get it over with.
There's literally no point in waiting. So why we're waiting? Like, everybody's scratching their heads.
even if there was a game this week, even if there was a game last week, even if there was a game the previous week, there still is no reason not to do it. So I'm done like trying to figure that out because like you said, Kalen, there's literally no reason not to. So it's beyond me. But I did want to get your guys' thoughts on, we've talked about Jim Harbaugh. Does he stay or does he go? Let's just assume that he's staying. Is there anybody on the staff that you want to keep on the staff, or is it clean house, get a new D coordinator, new O coordinator, new everything, and just start from scratch?
Yeah, I say new OC, maybe even give Harbaugh back the reins to the offense. Definitely new D coordinator. I think you got to keep Sharon Moore. Like he was a pretty solid recruiter, right? I think that'd be a big reason to keep him.
He's like the number one recruiter in the nation.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Like he was a solid recruiter. So I mean, as far as like guys to keep that are off the top of my head, it'd be Moore. And if Harbaugh's staying, obviously keep him. But clean house for your coordinators. Gaddis, I mean, you got to go. Yeah. Don Brown, you had to go.
What about Ed Warner or something?
Ed Warner, yeah, that slipped my mind. Definitely keep Ed Warner. I mean, he's proven. But yeah, other than that, I don't fucking know, man.
Yeah, I was almost thinking
McDaniel's got to go. He hasn't really. I mean, he's a QB coach, right? He hasn't fucking done anything with these quarterbacks.
He ruined what we had 6 options at quarterback this year, and he fucked up every single one of them essentially. Not him specific. Well, I don't know.
I mean, fuck, who knows?
They all did.
We literally ended up the season with our 4th string quarterback from what we were looking at in August. So it's not great.
Yeah.
What about like Mike Zordich, a guy who has a history of producing some really good guys, and maybe like just for whatever reason this season he was put in a bad position maybe?
Let's go back.
Yeah.
Let's
we
go
did
back.
See his guys
did he produce these guys, or were they always already talented?
Yeah, I have no idea.
You could say that about a lot of guys too.
I mean, you definitely could, yeah.
Urban Meyer.
He was the guy who was like, I'm gonna get recruits and not worry as much about, I mean, obviously he was a good coach, but his big thing was like, I'm gonna get big recruits to this program.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, You could say the same thing about him, right?
I agree. I agree with that, Kalen, because like for Zordich on the corners, like we've had lockdown corners every single year except for this one anomaly of a year in 2020, and he is one good one opted out, so yeah.
And we saw we saw the players that he was kind of forced to deal with not be good, but we also saw them improve throughout the season. And that's really the only position group I can think of where I've seen improvement like in real time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought Ed Warner had done that in the past with his offensive line. This year they didn't really, and then you see Zach Carpenter transfer, so it's like, but it's so tough this year because it's a weird year, and so like how much of these guys, including Harbaugh, how much do you get a pass for in 2020? And I think that Harbaugh doesn't get as much of a pass because of his past. But these other guys, I think, have proven to develop, NFL talent, honestly, at a lot of different positions. Don Brown, I think it's definitely time. I mean, yeah, been time. Josh Gaddis, what we learned was, dude, you never called plays and you don't know how to. And so that was a struggle. So I think we have to go get a more veteran type guy. But like, I think we got caught up on the offensive side we saw Lincoln Riley, we saw, Joe Brady, we saw these young guys come in with new offenses and the hot guys, and then they did well. We're like, oh, we got our guy, let's go get him because he's young and coached at Alabama and all these things. But you have to have some experience too. Joe Brady is like the most unique person on earth. He's like 32 with an NFL coordinator job right now.
Yeah, that's like, hiring Sean McVay or something like that. That's not going to happen. So expecting to just, reach into the OC pool and pull out a winning hand is ridiculous. Right. So I think, whoever does the search for coaches for Michigan really needs to do their due diligence, and we need to be willing to get somebody who has some experience, but also like personality wise, like, can you get along with Jim Harbaugh, who's notorious for being difficult to get along with, right? Because then if you guys are just constantly butting heads, philosophically, then the offense is never gonna play well. So you need to find somebody who's not only the right like fit in talent, but the right fit in like culture that you're trying to build at your university.
Yeah, and if Harbaugh's the guy, I mean, who thought we would have been saying this 2 years ago or last year after Gaddis came in? Change the offense. I think we got to find a offensive coordinator with the same kind of philosophy that Harbaugh has. If they're going to be successful, right? You got two minds thinking alike, and I don't know, man. I never would have thought we'd be going back to this conversation to change it back to the offense that we saw back in.
I don't think that the spread doesn't work, though, right? I don't want to sound like that.
I agree, but I'm saying if Harbaugh's the guy, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be a coordinator that's like-minded with him.
Yep.
And also maybe the spread does work, and Gaddis is just a shitty coach. I mean.
But we don't have spread quarterbacks. Like even Joe Milton is not a spread quarterback. He's not gonna run if he's not running the read option, not run out his reads. Dylan McCaffrey's not a spread quarterback. Like none of those guys are Justin Fields. None of those guys are Kyler Murray, right? Like even Baker Mayfield. So
well, you can run spread like LSU did last year, right? They weren't necessarily running
read option.
Yeah, a guy whose face I'm blanking on, but Burrow. You can, Joe Burrow. You could still have your spread concepts and have a pocket passer QB.
So that was what Matt Burns talked about it, and our guy Matt Burns, and we were talking about we want to see Michigan their offense should be a replica of Alabama's. It is
100%.
still all based on the run. You still get Najee Harris 20 to 25 carries every single game, and he still runs up the middle, off tackle, things like that. They really dominate with that offensive line. But then they throw it deep. They actually open it up, and they have a good quarterback. They have stud wide receivers, all these things. And so I think the problem, I loved Michigan's offense under Jim Harbaugh, honestly, because it was efficient. It soaked up time when you were in the lead. But then the problem is that when you get down, there's no way for that offense to move quick enough to score points and come back from down 14 points or something like that. So you can run the Alabama offense and run the Jim Harbaugh offense of pound, 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 and dink and dunk a little bit, but you still have to be able to open it up when you need to.
Yeah, what do you think about like the personnel that we have now, though? If we try to switch back to that now, a lot of our personnel is geared towards like a more quote unquote speed and space, kind of people, but we don't have the Donovan Peoples-Jones and the Oliver Martins. Do you think we can make that work, or what do you think?
I mean, I think it all depends on the line, on the offensive line. I mean, receivers are receivers, right? They're good or bad. Like, there's not really, whether you have fast receivers or whatever it is, it all starts with the offensive line. If you can't run the ball, then you can't do shit, right? That's what we saw is guys running up the middle and they're getting no yards. So if that's what they're going to run, if the offensive line can't create holes for these running backs, then nothing can happen. So, as long as Warner can develop the offensive line and we can control the line of scrimmage and running backs can go for 5-10 yards, every, couple carries, then you're going to be able to take deep shots. So, I think it just all depends on the offensive line and blocking and tight ends and what they can do. And then you can have Alabama's offense at that point. I think it's more simple than it sounds. Okay. Honestly.
No shit. Right.
Really,
we're not coming. If Michigan could run Alabama's offense well, they would fucking do it. Right.
But also Alabama's getting different sorts of linemen than Michigan's getting. I'll tell you that.
That's what I was just gonna say. You're working with Devontae Smith, who should be the Heisman frontrunner right now. He's
100%
fucking believable. You're working with how many 5-star linemen? And Najee Harris, who should be a Heisman contender.
Right. Yeah.
5-star dude. And then like Mac Jones, also like steps in, and now he's being looked at by the NFL too. So like, it's not, we're not on that talent level, but I just think in terms of, I don't know, the play calling and everything that we saw this year obviously didn't work. So my point, I guess, of it all is find something in the middle of Jim Harbaugh's offense and Josh Gaddis's offense. Right. We didn't need to let Harbaugh give up the reins and go completely spread, read option, whatever. There were a lot of things that worked with his offense, but just bring that offense into the year 2020, basically.
Yeah. I guess how would you change it, going into the year 2020? From what he had before.
40 yards more than once every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the one thing.
I'd be interested to look back at like 2015, 2016 and look at those offenses and kind of see how they played out. Because I feel like they ran the ball, decent. Like it was still Jim Harbaugh, very, power run. But I remember fucking seeing Darboh, Chesson, all these guys getting deep balls. And Spate and Rudock were putting the ball on the money. So, I think the thing that fucked us was 2017. Peters got hurt, who I thought was a solid quarterback. He could throw the ball deep. He was a pretty highly rated recruit. And then fucking O'Korn came in and fucked it all up. And then everybody was like, change the offense. So,
I think there was like a level of predictability, though, with Jim's offense. Because it did sometimes feel like, okay, run, pass a little bit, right?
Yeah, I did hate you knew they were running on first and second down. I agree with that.
I think maybe just mixing it up more, maybe just getting more of your. I feel like where we lost out was not having like a super athlete on the field, right? And well, when Jabril was here, maybe we did have a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just think of some of the explosive offenses. They always have like one player where you're like, okay, if all goes wrong, they can give it to him. And at Michigan, I don't really feel that all the time. So
Ronnie Bell last year, your boy.
Dude, Ronnie, yeah.
Ronnie Bell. I mean, he was kind of a go-to guy, I felt like.
But he's not
like
a huge difference maker in the game that I feel like a lot of other teams might have. The teams that reach that high level that we want to be at.
If we're grasping for somebody on Michigan's offense, I'd say it would be Ronnie Bell.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think that Nico could have been that guy last year too, but we didn't get him the ball as much as we needed to. So I don't know. Like the thing that bothers me from 2019 is the fact that we had Tariq, DPJ, and Nico, and like none of them had. How many 100-yard games did they have like combined? Like only a couple or something like that. Like crazy. So, that part was just frustrating. So I definitely think on the assistant side, the offense, the defense, like you have to figure that out first and foremost. Because Jim Harbaugh, if he's going to be the guy, you better have some studs in place in those spots on the assistant coaching side, because otherwise shit's going to just it's going to go the same. But I also think about like now we're going to have a brand new defense and a brand new offense and like all this stuff that like those transitions are tough for players, right? So are we going to like bring in a entire new coaching staff essentially except for the head coach and say, all right, we expect you now to get to 10 wins this year? You know, it's like, is that realistic?
I'd like for the athletic department as well as Harbaugh and whoever to put up front expectations and be like, this is a transitional year. We got new coordinators. We're not expecting to win 10, 11 games and compete for the Big Ten. We're looking at 8 wins. Want to have a solid season, see how the defense works out. I mean, obviously, it's hard to say that as a fucking head football coach in a D1 school, especially at Michigan. But at least if you're putting, your priorities as whatever they are, you need to announce that to the fan base, and you get a little more lenience that way from the media, fan base, whatever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Stanford's not coming out and saying, "Oh, we're gonna win the fucking Pac-12 this year. We're gonna compete every year, for a college football playoff berth and a conference championship." Why can't Michigan just do that?
Dude,
you're making your job easier at that point.
That is the best idea I've heard all fucking day. Dude, if Jim Harbaugh hired a new staff, imagine if he said, hey, we have a new staff and we're running a new system. So we might not win the Big Ten. Our one goal this year is beat Ohio State.
Love it.
Who would be mad?
We have one goal.
Everyone would be so happy.
Love it. Perfect. Thank you, Caitlin. Yes. Hit the nail on the fucking head.
Absolutely. Dude, I mean, let's make everything realistic, right? Let's focus on one thing at a time. And I mean, like you said, let's also get in front of everything that's going on and say, hey, here are my intentions. We may not win a national title this year. We may not even win the Big Ten, but I'm going to do everything I can to beat Ohio State, and we're going to, make progress every week. Here's what I'm going to do to make that happen. There are changes that need to be made culturally, everything like that. If he came out and said, I suck, I sucked in 2020, or these are the things that we're struggling with right now and we need to change them, I'd be like, thank you. Thanks for letting us know, because we've been fucking skeptical for 6 years now, and you never said a damn word about it. So
and that's something too. I think half of the issue with Harbaugh is he just floats around every fucking question that's asked to him. He's just like, yeah, we da 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 da. He doesn't really answer the question ever, and it causes frustration for everybody. And I think that's half the issue of people being like, get Harbaugh the fuck out of here.
Dude, yeah, he reminds me.
Come out, say what you're asked. Say what you need to say.
Dude, he reminds me of when you're when I was in college, like having a conversation with my roommate who would be like really high, and you're like trying to ask him a question, and he's like, well, like, what's that thing? You're just like, dude, I'm asking you, like,
Spit it out.
yeah, like, this isn't fucking rocket science. Come on.
It's like you ask him, hey Jim, what's 1 + 1? He's like, well, you got two numbers, you got an addition sign, you got an equal sign, and we're gonna put pen to paper and we're gonna figure it out. But it, like he addresses it, but he doesn't fucking answer it. Like, it's the most frustrating thing in the world.
Was that a direct quote? Did he actually say that? Like, he might have.
It could be.
That's our highlight right there. Put that out there. It's like politician talk. Like, you want to avoid every single thing so you don't actually give an answer, but you just dance around it. It's like, but like, dude, you don't have to be a politician here. You're coaching football. Like, fucking just let us know. And you don't need to reveal everything. I think that was his MO from the beginning, was like, we're going to be this secretive. We're not going to release a depth chart because it gives the other team an advantage. It's like, at this point, you now have the other team on the other side. You have your own fan base on the other side of you rooting against you. Like, you better come out and say something about what you're doing.
Dude, I would be so hype if Jim Harbaugh signed an extension and he came out there and he was like, I'll see you in 350 days when we play Ohio State. Oh, man.
Dude, just be transparent. Own the fact that all your job is to beat Ohio State. And I think the fan base will just be, boom, right back on your bandwagon.
Yeah. If he came out like he was in 2015, 2016, and was fiery and at least just like seemed like a normal human being in these press conferences, right? And like, hey, I just want to let you guys know, like, just admit your faults. I understand that for the last 6 years, we've come up short. I have come up short. I'm here because I know that we are better than that, and we could be, at the top. And I want to get there at some point. It may not happen this next year, but we're going to work there. I've got a great recruiting class coming in. I've got great people surrounding me, and we're going to, work as hard as we can to get there. Great. I like, if he just gave that answer every so often, I'd be like, all right, you know what? I do think Jim Harbaugh's still the guy.
Yeah. And you know what? He's a weird guy, and I understand that. I think he should like embrace that weirdness. Like, be at a press conference and like chug a glass of milk or something. Like, just be yourself, but just turn it up an extra notch, and people will love you for it.
Well, you know what? He's got the weirdness of it, but like, usually when there's weirdos like that, there's a quirky, lovable side.
Right.
He's the weirdo without the lovable part right now, at least. Like,
right now, because at least early on, when
he was like shirtless, at the fucking camps, and he's like the whitest man on the planet. Like, I'm like, that is funny as hell. When he's wearing cleats into the recruit's living room, like when he's doing when he's with Quavo with his iced out watch,
flexing,
doing music videos, like. At least he was weird, but it was like likable.
It brought excitement. Yeah.
Now he's just a fucking weirdo without any likable traits.
He needs a gimmick.
Yeah, exactly. Mike Gundy is an asshole, and Mike Gundy doesn't win every football game, but he's got a mullet, so everyone's like, how about Mike Gundy though?
It's very true. Very true. Big fan of Mike Gundy. Great hair.
So, all right. So that's kind of all we've got. I do want to touch on recruiting or signing days tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. So this is going to come out, tomorrow morning, I think, or later tonight?
Tomorrow morning. Safe bet.
Probably. One thing. So obviously we don't know what's going to happen with a couple people. Brandon Jennings to Maryland, maybe. Xavier Worthy to Bama. And then Donovan
Edwards. Yeah, we'll see.
So Steve Wiltfong, who is the big 247 guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
He came out in his last paid article. He said all three of those guys are going to Michigan.
God, I fucking love it. I hope so. Is Brandon Jennings signing tomorrow as well?
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, if we can get those guys. Oh, God.
So if that all happens and Harbaugh's the guy, are you like, all right, that's all right, Harbaugh can stay?
if that all happens and Harbaugh gets signed in the same day, I'm good. I'm more so frustrated by the fact that we're sitting in limbo and we don't know what's going on.
Mhm.
That's the big frustration for me. If Harbaugh's back, I'm like, all right, cool, I can ride with that. You know, looking at his fucking numbers, obviously he's done shitty against Ohio State. A lot of the losses we can blame on Don Brown. I mean, if Harbaugh comes back, I won't be totally upset because I do think there's a chance that he has an opportunity to be the guy. But just the fact that we're sitting in limbo where we don't know who it's going to be is what bothers me. But if he gets a contract extension tomorrow and we get all three of those recruits, the big guys that we're looking for, oh, I'll be fucking pumped, man. It'll be a great Wednesday.
Yeah, I think that would be surprising though with everything that's gone down. Like something's going on then behind the scenes that we don't know about, right? That he's saying to guys or something's happening in a positive manner that would make these guys still want to come to Michigan, even with the shit show that was 2020. So that would be awesome. I think that's ideal, obviously. So then that would bump Michigan up to like 7, 6, maybe 5, fifth class in the country for 2021. So like you go 2 and 4, or what were we 2 and 3 at the end? 2 and 4. You go 2 and 4 and then sign the top 7 class in the country. It's pretty damn good. So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see too what the waiver, or what do you call it, the transfer portal looks like.
Yeah. We'll
after
see.
this year.
I'll say this. Somebody broke it down by positions, and there's like 125 defensive tackles already in the portal right now. So if we don't bring on 2, 3, maybe 4 of those guys by next year, like we need to hit that portal hard.
Oh yeah. Who's do you guys know who Willie? I think it's Willie Allen.
Willie
Is
Allen,
he a tackle?
yeah.
Is he?
Yeah,
He's an offensive lineman though, right? He's
offensive tackle, yeah. Number
Love it.
73 is going to be. Came from La Tech, Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
He's working at the Emden warehouse right now. No joke.
Is he?
Yeah.
I'll have to hit him up.
He can't, because of COVID, like any new people can't come in because they're like he's not enrolled yet, so they can't like test and stuff like that. So he's just chilling, working in Ann Arbor until.
So is that like a gap year kind of for him then?
Well, I think he transferred because Louisiana Tech is not playing, I want to say.
Because I remember seeing him come out being like, hey, I'm going to go to Michigan next year. And it came out like probably a couple months ago at least.
Yeah, I'm betting. I think that what he did was like, I'm assuming Louisiana Tech canceled their season. And so then he was like, all right, I'm transferring to Michigan. So maybe they started playing later, but he still was already out or something. Watching Michigan basketball yesterday was like a nice thing. They struggled a little bit.
It was a little stressful for a second.
It was stressful. Jack and I were watching together in downtown Ann Arbor, and so it was like, oh shit, are they gonna pull it out or not? Terrence Williams is missing 2 free throws at the end, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go back to struggling free throws at the end of a game because we can't close it out. But I think that's. Here's the thing. Rule number 1 in the Big Ten is you take any win you can get, and an ugly win is still a win in the Big Ten, especially this year with it being so deep. So I promise you that Penn State will beat some other solid teams this year because I think they're better. They're not like a walkover team, in my opinion, and maybe I'm saying that just because we just barely beat them, but still, I think they're okay. They've got some good guys. But what were your guys' thoughts on hoops yesterday?
I mean, Franz never really came out and, had a big offensive game again. Another slow start for him. But, I mean, if he continues to get rebounds and, assists and whatever, he gets, close to 9 points a game. We've talked about it before. As long as he can kind of do that, whatever. But Hunter Dickinson, big game for him. He finished with 20 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and maybe a couple blocks. So he had a good game. Eli Brooks had a good game. Really good defensive game from Eli. So, I mean, I was impressed again. I mean, I think the team just plays really well together. Yeah,
I took a couple, a closer look at trying to watch Mike Smith after we kind of talked about him. And I actually saw a lot more of kind of what you guys were saying. He did a good job of moving the ball around, using picks and stuff. So I thought he played pretty well. And then obviously, I mean, Hunter Dickinson, I mean, is he like 3 or 4 inches taller than every other player on the court? Because
he's 7'2".
That's how it felt. So,
I mean, I tweeted it out yesterday, but literally Michigan's game plan if they're struggling offensively is just toss it into Hunter without even a question, and he's just going to go to the rack and either get fouled or put it up or both.
I'm totally okay with that.
No, it's a great out.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, and I think, first of all, he's our leading scorer through 6 games, which if you would have told me that I was, I thought he was going to be a contributor because Austin Davis is, kind of, he's good, but he's not like, he's a starting center in the Big Ten. And so I knew Hunter was going to be a big deal, but I did not know that he was going to be our leading scorer 6 games in. So that's pretty sweet, but it's a great thing to just be able to go to him because I think this team struggles shooting and they go into lulls sometimes. So if you can get out of that by just putting it down low all day, and then if Hunter, draws a double team or something, that helps to open up the rest of the offense. So I don't know. Outside of Luka Garza, he may be the best center in the Big Ten, possibly. Yeah.
I saw something. I don't know who. I think Ken Palm. There's a Ken Palm thing. It's like the top 5 players in the Big Ten right now. I think Dickinson was number 5. But I mean, I'll go back to what I said before, and you gave me shit, but they look like Greg Popovich's Spurs. They they do a good job of passing the ball around, finding the open guy, and when they can't, they get it down to Tim Duncan, aka Hunter Dickinson, and it makes something happen. So, obviously joking, but they do a great job of passing the ball around, finding the open guy, and taking good shots, in my opinion. And they are a very good free throw shooting team. Outside of Terrence Williams missing 2 free throws, there's only one other missed free throw. Brandon Johns went 1 for 2, but Livers was 8 for 8, Dickinson 2 for 2, Wagner 2 for 2, and Eli was 4 for 4. So, I mean, this might be one of the best free throw shooting teams in Michigan, at least recent history.
For sure. I mean, that was the one thing that Beeline's teams never had, right? And then Juwan last year, obviously, with Xavier, too, it struggled. But I think it's so nice that you can, if we do down the stretch have to, ice the game with free throws, you can go to Mike Smith, Eli, Livers, Franz, even Hunter is a good free throw shooter. So, there are a lot of guys that you can go to in those situations. The other thing, too, that I've talked about the versatility of this team. It's crazy that some days Shawnee Brown goes for 18 points and then the next day he goes for 0, but Michigan still wins, So it's pretty sweet that they don't have to every time it's different. Sometimes it's Livers leading scorer, sometimes it's Hunter, sometimes it's Shawnee, sometimes it's freaking, anybody else. Eli,
that's the best part about this team, man. You don't have to rely on one guy. I mean, like you said, it's everybody. It's like a different person every game that's blowing it up.
It feels like a real team effort when they're playing. So, and that's actually really fun to watch too.
Mm-hmm. And that speaks to Juwan, man, as a coach. A lot of people had question marks about him. They knew he could recruit well, but being a coach, and I mean, I feel like that proves it more than anything. Where you're not relying on talent, you've got a bunch of guys that are playing together, and they're playing together really, really well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still definitely annoyed of you because you spoke Franz Wagner not being good into existence, and now he is trash. I wouldn't say he's trash because he's still by far the best defensive guy on Michigan, and that will get him a long way. So we can still put on any good small forward on honestly the positions 2 through 4. Well, Eli will usually take the 2, but 3 through even maybe 5 sometimes. Franz shuts down those guys. So I know he's struggling on the offensive end, and we need him to get going to truly be an elite team. But on the defensive end, he isn't getting as much notoriety as he is getting, or as he deserves. So yeah, I think Franz needs to step it up for us to be truly elite. And it'll be, I think Brandon Johns could have some breakout games in the next time. He looked really good at the 5.
He did. I liked him there. And I mean, then he's another big that can shoot. But yeah, I like Brandon Johns, man. I've always wanted to kind of see him step up. But to go back to your point about Franz, yeah, if he can get rolling offensively, that's where Michigan takes the turn from a really good team to a scary team in the NCAA tournament. Like, I mean, they're always a threat, but man, if Franz can really step it up offensively, and you know what you're going to get out of Dickinson and Livers, and the other guys that you can just plug in the rotation, man, that team will be really scary tournament time.
Oh yeah, then there's just too many threats, right? It's like, who do I guard? What do I do? Like, I can't plan against this. It's just matchup city.
I mean, the thing is, like, there really isn't very many weaknesses on this team, right? Like, defense on some aspects is scary sometimes, but like, just I think it's not really like these guys are bad defenders. It's just kind of Juwan's philosophy is NBA type, where you give up some things so you can go run and score on the other end, right? And so it's just his philosophy is different than Beeline or Luke Yaklich, where it was like locked down on defense, and then we're going to grit the ball and be efficient on the other end instead of trying to run and chuck up threes. But
honestly, I don't hate that though. I mean, that could be some of the reason they're getting more of these open looks. I mean, they're getting, 5 guys on 5-on-4 or 4-on-3 or 2-on-1 or whatever.
I mean,
I'm okay with that.
Where are you seeing the defense lapse? I thought I saw like a number of times where they were getting some good like 2-on-1s and stuff.
Yeah, I thought so too. Honestly, it wasn't this past game, but in the past, like, just it's not even where I can like point out where it is, but just the fact of like giving up like 71 points even to Toledo, or to Oakland you gave up 71, or Bowling Green you gave up 82. But they've gotten better each game on the defensive side. So now they're in a better spot. But yeah, so I did want to ask you guys too about this going into next year. So to me, if Franz doesn't like start scoring 12, 13 points a game, he may not go to the NBA next year. I don't know.
Yeah, he'll be back.
So that'll be interesting, because next year's class is so unreal. And it's the same thing like with Hunter Dickinson. At first it was like no chance is he a one and done, and I still don't think he is, because he is not an NBA. The centers in the NBA go inside and out and shoot, and he's not to that point yet. He needs to put on some weight and muscle and get to the Luka Garza if he truly wants to be like a top center in the nation. But like, so if Franz stays, if Hunter stays, Musa Diabate is coming in next year as a 5-star center. Like, who's getting minutes? Brandon Johns isn't going anywhere either. Like, where are these minutes going? I'm unfortunately going to see, I'm assuming some people are going to transfer, but like, not Hunter Dickinson's going to stay because he's going to be a focal point. But like, how do you fit all those pieces into this with the number 1 class coming in?
Yeah, and honestly, it kind of makes me think that we may be, I'll knock on wood here, we might be in Isaiah Todd situation with a couple of those 5 stars too. Like, we never know if they're really going to actually come to Michigan or not. But assuming they do, like you said, man, I mean, that's tough. I mean, people might get pushed out. I mean, Franz might end up getting pushed out of the lineup, I mean, most likely he won't, but he might. I mean, if he can't score offensively and, play the 2, I mean, that's where I think he'd really be able to stick in the lineup with, Diabate and Caleb Houston.
Caleb Houston's a 6'8" power forward, so like right. That's kind of Franz's position. He's a little bit more of a big guy than Franz is more of like a small forward or a guard type. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Isaiah Barnes, small forward. Will Shedder, small forward. Like,
always big dudes.
So either these freshmen are going to sit the bench for their first year, and the way that Juwan is playing the freshmen that came in this year, have to imagine that they're going to get a shot at some of these. Like even Kobe Buffkin's a guard,
Solid.
but yeah, like all these dudes are good, man.
Yeah, I mean, what? Eli's gone next year, right? Mike Smith
So is
only has
Mike.
1 year. Shawnee
Yeah.
Brown only has 1 year. So, I mean, when you're looking at the backcourt, I mean, who do we've got? We'll have Zeb. Kobe Buffkin will be coming in. Who else we got other than that? I mean, it might be. I mean, Franz might just play the two.
Yeah, Isaiah Barnes coming in, Will Shedder, Frankie Collins.
Frankie Collins. Okay, Frankie will be there.
Yeah. I think that Zeb Jackson's gonna be the point guard that's gonna be a stud, I think. But yeah, I don't. It's something that we don't have to worry about, but it's like a good problem to have.
It's a very good problem to have. Yeah.
But it's just interesting, like I think nobody thought that Hunter Dickinson was gonna be this good, and probably Moussa Diabate didn't either. So he's like, wait a minute, they've already got a stud at center where he probably thought he was going to be able to come in and fight for that spot, but who knows?
I mean, I know we talked about it too. I mean, Hunter might even be able to go to the 4. I mean, if he can shoot it a little bit as a big guy. I mean, I haven't really seen a lot of tape on Diabate. I mean, he might be able to shoot as well. But I really
Hunter's bigger than him. He's definitely more. I think Moussa Diabate is more like athletic for sure. Oh, it'll be interesting. I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's just year 2 of Juwan Howard, and we're like talking about
what are we gonna do with these recruits?
Because I think that I don't see 2022's class being much different than 2021. So he could be forming this freaking powerhouse of a program here. That would be, hey, that would be so nice to be able to play. You know, football is whatever, but at least we have basketball to rely on. Now I know now I know what the Spartans feel like.
Oh man.
Pow.
Oh God. I know we gotta take our jabs at Sparty, but I don't even feel good saying that. It just makes me flashback to 2013, 2014 Rose Bowl champs.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I know.
Michigan football's in a bad place.
Thankfully, so is Michigan State football though too. So
yes.
I think they had a 4-star recruit flip
running back.
today
Looks like he's gonna flip to Notre Dame.
Yeah. So it's sad because in 2015, before their 3-9 season, both basketball and football were both top 10 programs for both schools. It's fun when those teams are all really good. I can rag on them and stuff, but it's way more fun when Michigan State's good and you beat them. But not that we've even beat them. We haven't beat them when they've been good. That's for sure. We beat them when they're terrible. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening to us ramble here. And when I say us, I mean myself. God, thankfully we can move on to just basketball, but we'll probably take a little breather before Christmas, I would imagine, because there's not much going on, unless a deal gets done and we have to,
something, yeah.
Unless we have to and we have to comment on it, but probably won't do any too much lately. So, all right, thanks for listening. Follow us at Blue by 90 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Blue by 90 podcast on YouTube, and then we will see you guys all later. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.